Hey everybody, what is going on? We are back for another edition of the Biz Coach Show. I am your executive producer. I am Chris Flowers, and I'm here with the founder and CEO of My Biz Coaches, Eric Whitmore. What is going on, sir?
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
You could go all the way.
Who is that?
Berman, man.
Oh,
Chris Berman.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. I was like, I knew the name, but I was like, who is that?
You could go all the way.
Well, that's a perfect intro for today's topic.
Exactly. That's why I picked it.
Since you didn't even know the topic when you came up with that.
You know what? That's how good I am. Improvise, adapt, overcome, baby. I just flow, baby. I just flow.
There you go. All right. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Eric's experience in opening and running a trucking business.
Yeah, like I said, this is going to be interesting because, like I said, not everything goes according to plan, as we know.
Close.
Not even close. But I think it's a great story also in perseverance. You know what I mean? Because you took your licking on that one, but at the same time, it's like you still knew, hey, you know what? This is still, being an entrepreneur. This is the greatest country in the world. We can make comebacks, and you did. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I think it's a inspirational kind of thing as well. Hey, you know what? And it just goes to show, hey, sometimes, hey, we fuck up. That's the way it goes.
So this is based on a newsletter I recently wrote, and it was in regards to lead generation is part of the topic, but it was about using AI for lead generation. And kind of most of us out there, if you're on LinkedIn, that's as most people know, that's where I'm at often. On LinkedIn, what you'll find is a number of people that are talking about or promoting how you can generate leads and just plug in Claude to LinkedIn and do this other thing, and boom, you got infinite leads or something like that, right? And so it kind of inspired this topic that I wrote about. And the title of the newsletter was 27 trucks, 11 months, a yellow pad, and a spreadsheet. Never again.
Right.
AI for sales and lead generation. So just to quantify, this is 2018, so not that long ago. At this point, I guess it's 8 years ago, but wasn't that long ago. We were scaling our freight company from zero. We grew from zero to billing $550,000 a month in less than a year. So, and I think that's really important for people to identify. You talk about scaling a growing company. We were filling a void that existed. The void was good quality trucking companies who could deliver in scale. And when I say in scale, that's important to identify. There's lots of really great individual truckers out there.
Yeah.
Maybe they have a second or a third truck, but the vast majority of them are very small operators, single truck operators.
Sure.
And here's the issue. They may be very good, but they're one truck. And the opportunity that we identified was there are brokers out there that have hundreds of jobs a day, hundreds of loads that need to be moved a day in the industry and in the freight industry. And we did all dry van, or predominantly dry van. We did a little bit of reefer and a few other categories. But for those who don't understand the industry, reefer is refrigerated units. But dry van is just your traditional semi out on the road, right, with a trailer. And we were able to grow from nothing to 27 trucks, 68 trailers, and we, as I mentioned, we were billing at about $550,000 a month within less than a year, within 11 months.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
The reason that's so powerful is because I know people who are in trucking business for 30 years and they don't do $1 million a year. So,
I know, right.
And it's no knock on them. It's just that was what my vision was. My vision was to go to 100 trucks. So there was a purpose for that kind of growth, that exponential growth. But more importantly, as I mentioned, and we're talking about lead generation and finding clients. Was we would go onto the what we call load boards, right? That's where all these brokers would post the loads. So to give you a comparison, you think about go to Facebook Marketplace and find somebody who's selling weights or desks or cars or whatever they might be selling, right? You imagine that's where everybody's posting everything, right? So this is a job board, and everybody posts these different loads that are available. Brokers do. And you'll see the same brokers over and over and over. Well, what we begin to identify is like, okay, well, these brokers are posting loads in the areas that we're already driving in. So let's build relationships with these particular types of brokers, and these particular brokers by name.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Identify who they were. And then let's build relationships with them and then become their preferred solution. Because then we would get them before they even got posted on the job board. They would call us rather than us reaching out and saying, hey, we want this load, we want that load. We wanted them calling us saying, hey, we want you to take this load. Puts us a bit of a negotiating position, helps increase our opportunity for getting those loads. And so, we kind of identified who are these brokers, and we saw there was about 6 of them that were consistently posting in areas where we were already running our trucks or wanted to focus on running our trucks. When we identified there was a new area that we wanted to go to, we would go and do the same thing. We'd go back and we'd look at the load board and we'd identify, okay, where are the brokers that are posting for those on a regular basis? And we'd track all of that, again, on a spreadsheet and a yellow pad.
Boy, I'm sitting there thinking, I've already yeah, man, AI would handle this in about 4 seconds.
Exactly. But I mean, that was the first couple of months of the business. That was all we were doing. It was like, how do we find more loads faster? And so first couple of trucks we got out on the road, we're bringing in, I don't know, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. That sounds like a lot, but it's also very expensive to run a trucking business. So consequently, there wasn't a lot left over. And part of the problem was that, when you think about diesel and all the other costs that you have to incur, you're actually robbing Peter to pay Paul half the time while you're trying to build this business. And so at the rate we were growing, it was challenging. So finding loads was key, just like finding new clients is key in any new business, right? And so we identified this area where we could kind of lean into. And what we found was these larger brokers that had lots of loads that they would put out there, when we demonstrate to them that our on-time ratio was as good or better than most people out there,
you were getting those extra jobs all the time.
Yeah, let's talk to the CLT company because man, they're like 98% on-time ratio, right? We didn't have any infractions with the DOT, right? Our trucks were clean, our people were taking care of the trucks, our drivers were good. And so that allowed us to really kind of leverage that brand, our name, and everything like that. So we've talked on here about how I built the our credit scenario and things like that. But one thing I never really talked about was how we came up with all those loads, how we were able to find our way into all those dealers, or those brokers, I should say. So, there's literally hundreds of opportunities a day. And part of it is identifying, one, what are the best paying ones. Which there's some negotiating power when a broker posts a load on a job board, you're getting what's left over, right? Be clear on that. So right. The key was, okay, I could be Fiverr of the trucking business. I could be the Fiverr, right? I could be the Fiverr deliverer, and I'll take whatever the last person can give me, or I get out in front of it and I find out who the people are constantly looking for these jobs and become the direct
preferred,
VA.
The preferred one,
that does those services. So that's basically what we were able to do, and it took us a handful of months. But once we had it wired in, we had the brokers asking to meet with us, so they could sit down and learn more about our operation. So we met with our broker leaders. We'd go out to San Diego. We'd go up to LA. We'd meet with these people, and we'd tell them, this is what we do. Here's my business plan. Here's our vision. Here's where we're going. This is what we do. This is how we do what we do. And they were like, man, you are not your traditional trucking company. We would definitely want to work with you. We had equipment for if our trucks broke down, so we could make sure the delivery still got done, even if that cost us money, because the reputation was more important than the money in that particular case, right? And so the advantage that we had was those smaller operators didn't see the deals that we got that were 20, 30, even 40% higher than what the average truck driver was getting if they were on the load board.
Right.
And, every driver is trying to get to the direct source, right? So I'm getting paid directly from whoever is shipping. But that doesn't happen for the average small trucker, because the reality is, or at least most of them anyway, because they're not big enough to support the real load. And so the brokers know that, and the brokers are they're already the buffer between the primary delivery, or the primary company. And so anyway, what we had to do is identify, okay, what are the things that are commonalities that work for us, so we can identify who exactly we want to go after. So let me tie it all back as it relates to what we're talking about with lead gen. First and foremost, everything that you need to identify who's your ideal client, right, is in identifying what your brand is, who you are, who you serve. What problem do you solve for them? When you're clear on that offer, when you're clear on that expectation, then the next thing you do is you start identifying, okay, where are they at? Where are my clients at? Well, as I shared with you, we were very clear. We were looking for people that had loads in the areas that we're in, lots of loads in the areas that we're already in or want to be in. And we can back into where those contacts are. We take some loads, even if we didn't make as much money as we wanted to. We take those loads, prove what we're capable of. So you got to do some stuff for free or cheap or whatever. Just
got to build the rep. Yep.
Build the reputation, and then you start identifying and build those relationships with those individuals. And over time, what it begins to do is you also figure out, okay, who are other people that do the same thing that these guys do, and how can we get in front of those people? Because we actually were able to leverage that through those connections and find other brokers that didn't post on the job boards that we were on. We actually were able to get our foot in the door with other brokers that didn't even put stuff on job boards, and we became their preferred distributor, right?
You went around the whole system. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So we bypassed, and that's where we were able to get 20 and 30% more per load, because we're not dealing with the scraps. We're getting right as close as you possibly can.
Getting the prime meat. Yep.
So we were hauling for IKEA. We were hauling for Anheuser-Busch. Through a broker, but it was we were the first line of defense, and it was like we got preferred rates. We negotiated deals. We had a wine company out of Modesto that we hauled down to the Mexican border and dropped it off on the train in Mexico. But we had really, really significant accounts, which is how we were able to go so quickly. But I share all of that. It's no different when you're talking lead gen, and let's say, for instance, you're using LinkedIn. It would be possible to do on Facebook and those other ones, but what's unique about LinkedIn is you can actually, if you've got the Navigator account, or there's another one, Sales
Creator. Oh yes, that's
and if you have those types of accounts, you're able to access people's information, right? And so you can find those particular types of clients that you would want to work with, and then reach out to them directly with a direct message, and say, "This is the kind of service I provide. Is this something you'd be interested in?" Or, "We do these types of services for companies like yours. Do you have a need for this?" Right? And that's literally exactly what we did with the trucking business, and why we were able to grow so fast. Now, I will tell you, as a coach, it's a little bit different, right? Because you have each business has their own nuances and their own needs, and it's a little bit different. It's not quite as specific. But your cost to acquire is a lot lower. I mean, all I have to do is pay, what is it, $100 a month or something like that for my LinkedIn Navigator account, and I can get access to 400 people that aren't my direct first connection. That doesn't even include my first connection people, and I can reach out directly with them. And although that's not directly using AI, now what I can actually do is I can use AI to help me identify who are those clients. I would, to your point earlier about, AI would take about 4 seconds to help you, we were literally writing down this information and then putting how many loads
going in there, researching everybody, doing all this stuff, and like that. Just throw that in the cloud, and it's like, here you go.
Exactly. We literally look at this job board, tell me who's posting the most, right, and who's getting the, and what what's the averaged amount of rate that they're doing, because we want to be north of, let's say, $3,000 a load or something like that. And then from there we scrub out the ones that are too low of a rate per mile, right? And so we take all that data, and we'd have to literally manually calculate all that through a spreadsheet, at least, But the point is, you'd have to capture it all with the yellow pad, then write it all down into an Excel spreadsheet, and then calculate all the kind of stuff, and then identify the people you want to go after. That took months to get to the 6 primary brokers we were working with. The key is today you could do that in an hour. Like you could probably come up, you could do multiple months worth of work in probably an hour, if you know know exactly what you're asking for and you're clear on what your offer is. And then you could actually use AI to help create the offer, the messaging for the offer, and then use that as a direct communication to go out to people. So I share that because it's super important when you think about, I hear people all the time, well, actually, since we started the marketing agency at the beginning of the year, again, the reason we started the marketing agency was because a lot of clients came to us and said, well, one of my biggest problems is lead generation. One of my biggest problems is talking to more clients. And, there's certain ways you can do that. I'm not as big of a proponent as it relates to coaching to go out and doing direct messaging. I've tried it. We've had, hit and miss results. But what I will tell you is what's really consistent is content creation.
Yep.
Right? However, if you pay attention to the people that are responding to your content, you can now re-engineer that and go back and say, okay, what I've identified is my client base is made up of a certain percentage of male or female. My client base is made up of a certain percentage of law firms or accounting firms or whatever is, so if I'm talking about coaching specifically, but let's say you're doing, you could be doing power washing, right? We live in Arizona. The dust is hell here, right? It's freaking the most frustrating thing when the storms come in and dump the dust all over the place, right?
Right.
You could own a power washing business, and you could quickly identify, okay, where are the areas where the high-end areas that would pay for that kind of a service? Help me identify specifically where they are. Give me the zip codes of that. They either do a direct mail piece or do a door knocking session and just go through.
Or just get with the property managers for the commercial properties and things like that. Boom.
Yep. And so there's so many different ways that you could do that, and you can use AI to find that information, even construct the communication, and then distribute that out, and just have a good targeted solution. And like I said, I can't help but keep going back to how much time it took us to do the exact same in that trucking business. I can't imagine how much faster we would have grown had we had a tool and a resource like this.
Right.
Right.
And if you want to learn more about this, you could always check out the CEO's Playbook.
You could.
The CEO's Playbook for Scale. I mean, you can always read that. It's a good read. Just throwing that out there. Just
I appreciate
little shameless plug there.
Hey
man, you like how I do that? You see the whole marketing thing?
That's good. But yeah, I when I think through what we did, AI was and that's just the lead gen, right? Which is what the article was about. But there's a whole other component of this that I don't talk about, which was we had the data. I could tell you out of 27 trucks which one had the highest gas usage, like diesel usage. Which driver got the most miles per gallon because he was more efficient as a driver instead of hammering going super fast all the time, right? I could tell you which truck had the most repair cost, an average repair cost per miles driven, right? These are all calculations. The average person would be like, why is that even relevant? Well, when you know that this particular truck breaks down 2 times more per mile driven than any of the other trucks, it's like, okay, well, this one's paid off. Let's unload this one and get a new one because that's eating into my margins, right? But you won't know that if you can't track that data. We did that. We did that all manually with spreadsheets. I had a team of people that were calculating that data. AI would be a game changer, right? In all of that.
Right.
So, there's so many different use applications of AI, and I use it as a reference as it relates to data-centric target client or client targeting. But it could be used in a lot of different ways. And what I find that continues to amaze me is how many people are like, "Well, it doesn't really have any value in my business."
That's crazy.
I'm like, yeah, it is. It's pretty crazy how many people are still convinced AI is not going to make that much of a difference in their business. Oh, it'd be nice if it did that, but yeah, it's not necessary. I'm like, that's the misunderstanding you understand about data and about understanding information and how easy it is to assimilate that data and make better decisions, faster decisions.
Well, it goes back to what we're talking about. Like I said, I think, AI is for paperwork. People are for people work. So if you're not
Yep.
sitting there crunching all this data, trying to get all this stuff, but it allows you to have that data available when you go to make these presentations to these brokers or to these direct vendors.
Yep.
Hey, here's why you want to hire our company, because price per load, this and that, delivery, on time, such and such like that. And it's all right there at your fingertips, especially now with an iPad. You can just pull it up. Boom, here's my data. I'll send it right to you.
I can't tell you how many times we got deals from brokers because I actually pulled up my business plan and I knew my data. Like people would say, well, what's your cost per mile? And I'm like, well, I know exactly what my cost per mile is. And I know exactly and I know how much of that is maintenance, and I know how much of that is payroll, and I know how much of that is, it's like,
it was like at the bank, same thing.
Well, and I had a calculation. I knew exactly how much of it was federal taxes, or not federal taxes, but taxes in general, because we operated in California. So we had California, we had federal, but my point was, I knew how much of my per mile cost was taxes because we operated in California, which was why I was so frustrated with my partner, because I'm like, if we were in Arizona, we'd be saving an extra 4.8% of our revenue.
God.
Because we're paying all these California-based taxes that are not as expensive or don't even exist in Arizona.
Right, exactly.
So, and that's
the same thing. That customers coming into the bank, man, they want a loan. Like, hey, the first I'm asking them, hey, what is your cost of goods sold? What is it?
Right.
And if they didn't know that information, it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. And that's so the crazy part about that is, like I said, with AI, if you know what you're asking for, you can calculate this in moments, right? And it's not that difficult. You do have to do some initial due diligence, but once you do that, you can build a system that it calculates all of this for you. And if you understood how valuable that information is, it's a game changer. So now I started with the whole thing of, how it's so great for lead generation. And I'll run through a couple of examples here. If you're in the creator or hustler phase, so that's 0 to 100 and 100 to 250, you are the sales team, right? You don't have a sales team. So this is why this is so important. You could spend a few hours on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning calculating, finding this information, identifying who these clients are, getting a good offer that would resonate with those people, and then finding that list of people and having, Claude, Chat, whoever, identify who those ideal clients for you would be, and then just doing an outreach to them. And then once you've done to a certain point, you're like, okay, well, it's giving me good results or whatever. Well, let's say, okay, no, well, now find me a similar client base that has a similar use case so that I can actually, and then you can just keep extending out and finding out. And then, oh, by the way, you can also then identify. So for instance, if I sell coaching to law firms, which is one of the clients that I target, right? And I know that that's one of the clients that my messaging resonates with quite well. It probably because it's one of my bigger client bases is law firms, right? I also know that accounting firms seem to resonate. Accounting and bookkeeping firms resonate with my messaging quite well because I understand their language. I went to
speak the
school
language, yep.
Right, yeah. So consequently, that seems to resonate well. Well, then help me find more people that actually do that would be good target audience clients for me, right? And so we can use that to extrapolate and find that information. But it just baffles me that people that are small are like, well, I don't have time to figure it out. I'm like, you don't not have time to figure it out. You have to figure out how to make time to figure it out because it's going to dramatically improve your ability to get results and get results quickly. Another way that you could do this is you look at if you're at 250 to 500,000, now it's about getting your team to use AI. And I can speak to that on our marketing agency side because in our marketing agency that we started earlier this year, it's getting the people that work for us to realize, look, we're not trying to get rid of you by using AI. We're trying to get you to use AI so you can do the work of 5 people.
Right.
Right. That makes our business that much more profitable. Now, and I get them, I'll get feedback. Well, AI is not very good at this, or AI is not very good at that, or it doesn't do this well, or it doesn't do that well. I'm like, I hear you. And I realize that you're used to doing this manually. But then I pull out the 10-80-10 philosophy that I learned from Dan Martell. And I've been a big proponent. I've always talked about in all my coaching over the years, I've always talked about the 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle,
Right.
the 80-20 principle, right? 80% of the results come from 20% of the effort. Well, he kind of turned that a little bit, or tweaked it a little bit, at least in the presentation I was watching. He talked about the 10-80-10 concept. And basically what he was saying is it's as it relates to leveraging other people to do the work that you're trying to accomplish, the 10-80-10 is the same 80-20 principle. It's just kind of tweaked a little bit in the sense that you do the first 10%, which is the ideation, which means you're setting the vision and you're directing where it's going to go. Then you hand it off to somebody, and don't try and micromanage them, but you hand it off to them and say, look, this is the outline of where I want it to go. This is what I want the end product to look like. Then you give it to somebody else, and they do the 80%. And then when it's now 90% complete, you come back and you fine-tune it and tweak it and make sure it's exactly what you wanted. Mm-hmm. But what you're not doing is you're not getting involved in how to do the day-to-day, all the minutia of everything that's done.
No.
So when you can incorporate that 10-80-10 strategy and use something like AI, not somebody who uses it. Now you can use somebody who uses AI. Now you can exponentially increase the amount of volume if you can teach them how to do that, right? They can now use AI. So in the first part of it, the 10-80-10 is you doing the ideation, let the AI do 80%, and then you do the last 10. When you get to the next level up where you got a couple of people, you teach them how to do the same thing. You create the SOPs, now you hand it off to somebody else and say, okay, now you do this. Now you're getting the work of 5 or 10 people. Because you've taken all the minutia, all the yellow tablets and spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff, and you removed it, and you can even use it to give you suggestions and ideas on what that information even means. If I gave you a bunch of data sets, and you're like, well, what does this even mean, Eric? You can even go to AI and say, okay, what does this mean for my business, and how should I interpret the data? Now, is it going to be perfect? Maybe, maybe not. But what I can tell you is that if you're not sure what the data means, you can ask what the data means, and then AI can even give you some of that perspective. So I think it's quite interesting when you really think about all the different opportunities that you could leverage AI in, or how you could leverage AI. And more importantly, as you grow as an organization, how you really want to think about how to incorporate this into your business more and more. When you jump to 500 to $1 million, or you get north of the $1 million into the 3 to 10 million range, it becomes even more important. As a matter of fact, I would strongly encourage companies, not necessarily, this isn't a big push to, go all in on AI, but it is definitely understand how AI will improve key things within your organization. And I think that's the big missed opportunity for most clients, or most people that are potential clients, is they're just not seeing the vision of what it could do for them.
While we're sitting there talking, I literally just took my LinkedIn profile, put it in the chat, and said, who's my target audience? And not only did it come up with veteran owned businesses, came up with, professional services, things like. It gave me a list I said, okay, give me a list of 50 names. And it just banged out 50 names from my contacts that I need to be as we were sitting here talking right now.
Amazing. You earned your salary for the month, Chris. I appreciate that. No, seriously, that's amazing. That's exactly what we're talking about.
As we were sitting there talking, I just was sitting there just doing that just now. Bam, it just gave me a list of 50
and it gave you
names.
A list of 50 names from your existing contact base to reach out to.
Correct. In all different veteran-owned businesses, business coaches, restaurant. It gave me it broke my client, like who, local services, faith-based organ, things like that. Everything about me that it knows from about being about me. Like, okay, these are people that he normally talks to. And then I said, okay, give me a list. He goes, I said, you want me to make a list of 50 names? I said, yeah, and it just banged out 50 names like that. Bam, while we were sitting there talking.
That's awesome. And there's your target list to work on this week, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or if it took you a month to get through that 50, then you do that next month. You got another 50 next month, right? Mm-hmm. It's funny because all the years in sales, I'm like, if I had a tool like this, I mean, I can't tell you my original client database was a 3-ring binder, and a copy of the contract of everybody I ever sold a phone to. This is like 1996, 1997, 1998. It was a 3-ring binder, and everybody that I sold something to, that a copy of that invoice went in, snapped the 3-ring binder, closed it shut, right? And that's what I did. And then what I did is I'd realize, okay, Well, I sold it to you in the month of November, right? And so you're going to be eligible, and back then it was 1 year. You're going to be eligible in 1 year. So in October of next year, I'm going to call you for the upgrade. Right, exactly. And so I'd put you in October of the next year, and that's how I kept track of all my client base. When I stopped being a salesperson and moved to being a sales manager, and I didn't have direct sales fulfillment obligations, I handed those off to my brother. And I'm like, here, you take care of these and treat them like gold, because that's made me 60 to 80 grand a year for the last 3 years that I've been doing this. Right. And the beauty of it was I had three 3-ring binders like that. and it was just right. And imagine what I could have done with AI.
Oh my God. I try to tell like my banker buddies, like, dude, I mean, even just like I said, just using video, just going outside the box a little bit. It's like, don't you understand there's like 10 million people that do what you do? Yeah. And if you want people to actually work with you, you got to give them something about you to work with.
Something unique and different.
Yeah. Because they want to do the whole, I mean, like, yeah, let's go to lunch. Dude, we can make a video. In the time you're going to spend it, like we can make a video, and you could be reaching people you never would have came in contact with.
Yeah.
But everybody can't get their minds around, and they're worried about compliance. Like, dude, I have been in banking for 30 years. I was freaking FDIC, SEC. I had Series 766. I said, trust me, I know compliance, bro.
Right.
I know what words to stay away from. We're going to make some, and nobody can wrap their minds around the concept. Oh, but okay, whatever, dude. Just keep on rolling.
Yeah.
Keep on doing that same old shit. Just keep doing it.
Yep, exactly. It's funny.
You want to know why? Because everybody wants to go to fintech. You're like, they might be able to go into fintech because they don't know you, because they don't know how they can work with you. That's why.
That's right. Right. Well, they don't know. I mean, that goes back to that statement from Grant Cardone. Get known or be broke. Get known or be broke. Right. If you're a service-based business, or if you're in a situation where you're selling a service, service solution that other people are in, that it's a very crowded category. If people don't know who you are, you're not making money. You're scratching out a living, right? But when you can accelerate that, I mean, we talked about this. It was not maybe a few shows ago. Making a video, your business model of making a video for somebody and putting it out in social media. A lot of people are like, oh, it doesn't work. I'm like, no, you don't do it right. That's why it doesn't work. But if just by putting out that video, and let's say 100 people see it, right? And you do that every day, that's the equivalent of passing out 100 flyers on cars, right? I mean, I'm going back 30 years. That's how I started in the wireless industry.
But
I would literally
it has
pass
more
out
impact.
flyers on cars.
But it has more impact as well, because like I said, they're actually seeing you and talking to you. They're not reading data. They're actually like, hey, this guy Eric sounds like he knows what he's talking about a little bit.
Exactly.
Let me get that appointment. Yeah.
Well, and then on top of that, the people that are seeing my channel know that I do business coaching.
Right.
So they've identified. I throw that on 100 cars. To your point, I throw out a flyer on 100 cars. I don't know if they have any interest in buying a cell phone. I just knew I had to get something to get people to come into my store, right? Mm-hmm. And so that was literally, it was a shotgun approach. I'm like, just drop it on. I'd go out to get lunch and I'd drop 100 flyers because the store was super slow today. And then that was my combination. It was that, and I do my follow-up calls. That was how I built my business. And then when I got to the point where I didn't need to put out flyers anymore, and then I'd notice I'd have some hits, ups and downs in my sales productivity, and I'd get harder on the phones. I'm like, well, now I don't have to leave the store. I can just get dial for dollars, right? But the truth of the matter is, by doing both, I was actually accelerating my business in two different areas at the same time.
Yep.
Right. Now, imagine what a video does for me when it's just out there in evergreen.
24 hours.
Right? And if I did that 100 or 30 times a month, once a day for 30 days, times 100, even just 100 views, that's the equivalent of putting my flyer in the hands of 100 people that already know what I do and are interested in listening to what I have to say. Or at least they're familiar enough with what I'm doing because they see what I do.
Not only do they see what you do,
huge.
But they hear they can feel
absolutely
the genuine experience and knowledge, and again, that separates you from other people.
Totally.
You see what I'm saying? This is the things that I try to express to people. It's like, there's a million people that do what you do, but you want to get them interested in talking to you directly. And there's one way to do that on a 24-hour cycle. That's getting the videos out there.
That's right. So you take you kind of take that concept that we started with all leverage the AI, do your due diligence, find out who your client base is, get clear on that, then use AI to help you identify what that list is. And just like Chris demonstrated, right, within just a few minutes, he was able to get a list of 50 names that are highly concentrated, highly targeted people that would be perfect for him. That he already has a relationship
warm leads.
With.
They're warm leads.
They already have a relationship with.
Yeah,
they know who you are. And now you have, send them a direct video.
Yes.
Right? Make a 30-second video and send them a direct video through the platform, right? I mean, that's a no-brainer right there.
Yep, absolutely.
But it's just there's so many different ways, and I think part of it is getting people comfortable with something that's new and different. We understand that that's a big component of this AI, but if I've said it 100 times, I haven't said it enough. The truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, that a lot of people are going to get left behind because they're not adopting. Now, where AI takes us in the next 5 years, that's a whole nother thing. That's another show for another day. It might even be like a year's worth of shows at that point. But the
might
truth
not
of the
even
matter
be us
is,
doing it. It might be our avatars doing it.
Exactly. But the reality is, either way, it's here to stay. And if you don't adopt it, if you don't get on board with it, it's going to run over you like a freight train.
It absolutely is. There's no doubt about it.
That's what we got for today, Chris.
Hey, I think it was an outstanding job, sir. I think it's, like I said, it's you got to do something different, man. You got to, and like I said, you got to adapt to it, or it's scary for people. I think they just can't get used to understanding, like it's getting out of their comfort zone. But
yeah. Well, and I think unfortunately there's also a group of people out there that are saying, "Oh, it's wrong, it's not right, you shouldn't use it, it's not fair." I mean, in the education side of the business, or the education side of this concept, there's a lot of teachers out there like, "Oh no, it's so wrong to use AI." I'm like it's wrong to use a calculator.
Right.
Like it's wrong to use a spreadsheet in math and accounting. I mean, that's counterintuitive. You're basically telling me that we created this tool. Do I need to know the inherent way that it works? Yes. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what prompting AI is all about. I need to understand how to ask for the information that I'm looking for. That's what prompting is all about. As long as I understand what I'm asking for and I'm clear on what my intentions are trying to attract from it, using AI, I don't see that as is there a certain sense of no, I'll even go this one step further. Using AI to write something, that's when I did book reports in high school and college, what were Cliff Notes?
Right. Pretty much.
Right? And if I was doing a research paper, where did I go to find my information? I went to these different periodicals, books, right, that gave me that information that referenced or it supported my concepts.
Living in the stacks, yeah, exactly.
I'm just using a different reference point. I'm not, instead of going back and looking at an encyclopedia to find the information about a topic, I'm just literally not even using the internet. Now I'm using ChatGPT that's giving me information. Will that make us dumber? I don't think so. I think what it'll do is it'll teach us how to be more efficient.
Well, like I said, it depends on what information is getting input in there too, because it may not be.
That's another conversation. But that's where you're now. I'm leveraging my competency, right, as opposed to relying on it for giving me the answer. This is why. This is why at the end of the day, coaching is not going to go away the way that I believe. What I believe is going to happen is I believe that coaching won't go away. What's going to happen is coaches are going to learn how to use AI more effectively. They're going to teach people how to use AI more effectively. That'll actually be one of the value adds that a good coach is going to bring to the table, is to teach you how to use AI to solve problems in your business. Not because you can figure it out on your own, but to your point, if I don't know that what AI is telling me to do is not 100% accurate or has its challenges with the concept because it doesn't have the wisdom to draw on, that's what a coach would bring to the table, right? But not using AI to provide the same type of information is just silly, because at that point I'm literally setting you up for failure.
What I did too, I literally asked Chat. I said, "Hey, how do I stay ahead of AI in my business?
There you go.
And it gave me the game plan step by step. So first of all, it said creators will always outpace AI because we don't think. We don't have, so it was just giving me all this stuff like, and then I was doing the research on that, and like I said, just did the last show. The creator economy is a $200 billion business and growing like 20 to 30% a year. You know what I'm saying? So if you can think, I mean, AI is a great tool. Like I said, it just came up with 50 leads like that. Boom. You know what I mean? That's awesome. But at the same time, who's going to make the contact with those leads? Me.
Well, and that's who gave it the idea to give you that information.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of chicken and the egg conversations. What comes first, right? But the truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, we're the creator, we're the ideator, we're the coming up with the idea. Let me use the tools that are available to me to get the quickest result, to get the best solutions. And if it's not perfect, go back and iterate it, right? I mean, that's exactly what we talk about in growing a business. Your first idea, your business is never right. I say never. It's seldom right. It almost is some variation of what you started with was what you end up doing when you find success.
What got you here is not going to get you there, right?
There you go. Exactly. Exactly. All right, sir. Well, that's our show for today.
All right, man.
And I'm sticking to it.
That's right. Where's my sound effects, man? Oh, it died.
You lost your sound effects.
I guess so, man.
You overloaded it.
There it
is. Our audience was all too busy with AI.
Yeah, they're trying to find their own 50 leads there,
What? There you go.
What?
Funny.
And they're off and running.
Reminds me of what was the Adam Sandler movie? It was a remake, The Longest Yard.
Oh, yeah.
When they're in the announcer booth, and he's like, "That's funny, do that again." What? All right, Chief.
All right, man.
Appreciate you.
We're out.